For consultations, tutoring, and courses, please visit laurabaratastrologer.com. And if you like my videos, please like and subscribe. Thank you. Hello everyone. Today we're talking about Shad Bala, which is a planetary strength and one of the most important ones. Shad Bala means directional strength, and it is a component of Shad Bala, which is the 6-dimensional strengths that are very important to look at a person psychologically and emotionally and their personality. It's very important for that. But Shad Bala, being one of those strengths, also shows if the person will use that planet and towards activity in their lives. Meaning, is that planet going to direct them into the fulfillment of those planet's indications? So when a planet has strong Shad Bala and it's between 0 and 60 points, if it has closer to 60 or above 30, then the planet will progressively be able to lead the person in the direction of fulfilling those planet's indications. If you see planets involved in yogas for success or for certain things, and the planet has no Shad Bala, usually that yoga doesn't fulfill itself to the person's satisfaction. If the planet has a lot of Shad Bala or directional strength, then the planet absolutely performs very well in the yoga and leads that person towards the fulfillment of the planet's indications. Now I'm going to show you what planets, where they are in the sky when you're born, and if they get good Shad Bala or not. Okay? So I put two charts up here. This is the South Indian chart and the North Indian chart. I usually use the South Indian, but it's fun to look at the North Indian because it is it's easier to see the planets in the sky. This is always in the east, this is always in the west, this is always in the north, and that is always in the south. Okay? Now, here I have Mercury and Jupiter. Mercury and Jupiter, I'm using Aries in the familiar South Indian format. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, you know the deal, right? But I didn't put the signs because Shad Bala depends on houses. Mercury and Jupiter get their strongest, they get their most Shad Bala when they are in the first house. Venus and the Moon get very strong when they are in the 4th house. Saturn gets really strong in the 7th house. And Mars and the Sun get very strong when they're in the 10th house. And this is here the first, it goes actually the other way. This goes counterclockwise while this goes clockwise. But you can see here that the 4th house is the Sun and Venus, Mercury and Jupiter in the 1st, Saturn in the 7th, and the Sun and Mars in the 10th. And why is that? Okay. Why do Mercury and Jupiter do so well in the 1st house? Well, Mercury and Jupiter are planets of self-fulfillment and self-knowledge. Jupiter is wisdom and the knowledge that we get, the higher knowledge that we get through philosophy, through astrology, through any type of those disciplines. Mercury is our skills that we develop, and also the initiatory instructions we learn when we're in grammar school and things like of that nature. And also Mercury is language and the ability to express ourselves. Now in the 4th house, that's why Jupiter and Mercury do so well in the 1st and they get a full 60 points. If they are in the 7th house, they get 0. And the reason that is because when planets are in the 7th house, we don't realize those planets until we're in a partnership, or we can't realize them fully until we're with other people, because the 7th house rules the public, but it also rules the romantic partner or the spouse. And so we can't fully realize these two self-realizing planets, if you will, until we're in some type of partnership or we realize them through other people, which is difficult to do because, you know, trying to develop your skills on your own, you need to be alone or something like that, or that's part of your body. Developing your wisdom, your higher knowledge, when you're with a bunch of people or you are married or in a relationship, then those planets can't function as optimally if they're in the 7th house, if they rely on other people to give their effects. Okay? Now, Venus and the Moon. Venus and the Moon are female receptive planets, and they want to feel good. Venus is comfort. The Moon is our emotional happiness. So, and when we're born, they're directly, the 4th house is the nadir, or what's directly on the other side of the planet where we can't see them. These planets want to feel good, feel comforted. They don't want to be doing, they want to be receiving. And to have their full fulfillment, they need security and emotional stability. They can't be doing all the time. They don't want to do, they want to receive. And if they're in the 10th house, Venus or the Moon, they're not open to receiving because they're being pushed to perform and do things in the world and, you know, out in front of everyone, which is really the 10th house. So they don't function as optimally, okay? So if you see someone with Venus or the Moon in the 4th house, that's a very good position to have, and it's usually conducive for happiness. The 7th house, Saturn. Okay, Saturn is naturally exalted in the 7th sign, which is Libra. So, when Saturn is in the 7th house, it's not that great for relationships, but it's very good for the person to develop discipline, to be able to be alone, and get something done, get their goals done. And what Saturn does, Saturn separates us from things. It's a separating planet. So when Saturn is in the 7th, which is the public or other people in general and your spouse, it will separate you from your spouse in order to get things done, in order to be alone and be able to do something, a goal that you have. Saturn is the #1 goal reacher and is very important in a career or anywhere where you want to excel. A strong Saturn is very important. So a strong Saturn is going to push other people away until you're able to, until you know you've been alone and able to finish your goals and reach your goals. And you don't get caught up in all of the drama with other people or with your significant other or anything like that. Okay, so Saturn does really well in the 7th house, believe it or not. Saturn in the 1st house, now he doesn't function as optimally there because the 1st house, we're already alone. The 1st house is us, is our body, right? So we're already alone. We don't need Saturn in that house. Now, if you don't have any of these planets in the angles, then the closer they are, like say Saturn is in the 6th house, that's pretty close to the 7th, or the 8th house, that's pretty close to the 7th. So that will give Saturn a good Dig Bala score, and same with the other planets. Okay, the closer they are to their strongest Dig Bala position, the better. So now, the Sun and Mars. The Sun and Mars get full Dig Bala in the 10th house, the midheaven. Why is that? Mars is an engineer. Mars is the manager, or not the manager, but he's the general. He has to see everything before him to jump into action and be able to solve problems. He has to see everything, and when planets are in the 10th house, they're right up over our head in the sky. They can see everything. So the Mars does extremely well there. He is a go-getter. He needs to see the problem and boom, there he goes. He solves it. That's what Mars likes to do, okay? And the same with the sun. The sun is the sovereign or the king in the planetary kingdom. And the sun needs to see his kingdom to be able to rule, right? He needs to see his options. He needs to act on his inspiration. That's what the sun is. It's our inspiration, our connection to our soul nature, and be able to express that in the world. That's what we want to do naturally, right? So that's why the sun does so well in the 10th house. Now, the closer the sun is to the 10th house, if you have the sun in the 9th, or Mars in the 9th, or Mars or the sun in the 11th, then that's pretty close to the 10th house. That will give those planets strong Digbala, or directional strength. If you have yogas, let's say you have a lot of exalted planets, but they don't have any Digbala. Well, you have the talent in that area. Let's say you have an exalted Jupiter in Cancer, but Jupiter's in the 7th. Okay, let's say, and that will give you a lot of talent, a lot of wisdom. You'll be able to learn a lot of philosophy or astrology or anything that gives you higher knowledge. Go to a university. But you're not going to be able to act on it in the world and do that much with it in the world. You're extremely knowledgeable and talented, but you really can't act on it that much. My cat got stuck in here. Okay. So that's how that works, okay? It doesn't, for the planet to function optimally, it really should have a good Digbala score. And it's actually one of the Shad Bala strengths, like I mentioned before. And it's the last strength that Parashara gives in his chapter on these strengths. So it has to be, it's the last thing you check for. If it's not there, if the Digbala is missing, the person has a lot of, and the planet is otherwise well disposed, the person may have a lot of talent, but they can't make that talent fulfill what that planet indicates. Okay, so it's a very important strength to know and to learn. So you can just go look at your chart and see if this applies to you or not. Okay, so that's it for today, and thanks for watching. Until next time, bye.